Our world is experiencing an explosion of smarter devices and connected things intertwined with artificial intelligence. There is no AI without data, and no data without power. AI creates stress on our energy systems by the electricity required to deliver the power data centers demand. In fact, AI requirements are driving the average from 10 to over 100 kilowatts per rack. Optimizing data center power efficiency is critical, as electricity represents one of the largest operational costs. Managing energy consumption while leveraging AI's potential to drive greater energy efficiency is the pivotal challenge. Welcome to Cisco Energy Management. For over 40 years, Cisco has been the market leader, delivering a secure networking foundation to customers worldwide. Cisco's energy management solution starts with visibility and reporting to help enterprises consistently measure, monitor, report, and optimize their energy usage, costs, and carbon footprint. Tracking the energy consumption and carbon footprint of tens of thousands of devices across hundreds of sites helps to establish the critical baseline customers need to make informed, data-driven decisions. Extend visibility beyond Cisco in the campus, branch, and data centers. Include power over Ethernet devices like sensors, surveillance cameras, lighting, and window shades to build smarter campuses. And for data centers, integrate visibility for smart power distribution units. Armed with AI-driven analytics, Cisco Energy Management will provide crucial insights to help customers get the most out of their investments, unlocking operational savings to drive more sustainable change. Adjust energy usage based on traffic patterns, and interact with power grids in real time using Cisco Energy Management APIs, electricity maps, and Cisco Smart Power Framework. Customize your view by device, location, or time, and generate compliance reports with just a few clicks. Cisco Energy Management: visibility, insights, automation for a more sustainable future. Connect with us today to get started.
Please welcome Tom Kelly, Chief Technology Officer of Panduit. Ben Patterson, Principal Facility Specialist at Workday. Stephen Kelly, Global Vice President of Sustainability Solutions at NTT Data. And Denise Lee, Vice President of Energy Networking Systems at Cisco.
Good morning. Thanks so much for being here. You are in store for a really good conversation this morning. My name's Denise Lee. I lead a group that's sort of emerging across Cisco called Energy Networking Systems. And I have on stage with me here a great group of partners. So as we talk about how we're getting from research to reality, you can't do that without a great group of partners. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to talk a little bit about what Energy Networking Systems is, and we'll go ahead and kick us right off. When we think about energy networking, what we're really talking about is going from the grid to the chip. And for the last couple of decades, you've seen Cisco work on how we're digitizing and getting Ethernet everywhere. Well, we're adding energy and power to that equation. So think about being able to network power the same safe, secure way we've been networking data for the past 40 years. That's energy networking. And the systems that we're going to do that, they're sort of a hero of this story. And the hero of this story is this new technology called fault managed power, or FMP for short. Fault managed power is a new type of distribution for energy, and it's touch-safe power up to 450 volt DC. So, Tom, I'm going to start with you. Panduit's been a partner with Cisco for decades, mostly on the engineering side. Can you tell me a little bit about, we're going to do a quick lightning round.
Yeah.
First time you heard about FMP?
Yeah, first time I heard about FMP was probably more than 5 years ago. There was kind of this concept of alternating or doing DC power delivery in a different way. The telco space has done DC power delivery for some time, but we really kind of reimagined it and reinvented it and looked at a way that we could build off of the tremendous success the industry's seen in power over Ethernet.
Yep.
Power over Ethernet made everybody very familiar with delivering limited amounts of power and data across your enterprise network. And so we started to apply that technology in a new way and say, how could we do more power and go farther distances in a way that solves problems differently and more efficiently and builds off of that tremendous building block and success.
Perfect. And Ben, you're at Workday.
Yep.
I'm thrilled that you are one of our kind of first customers that have taken advantage of these ecosystems we're building. When is the first time you learned about FMP?
So first time I learned about FMP, my brother and I were kind of nerd out, and so we were having the conversation, and he's like, hey, have you heard about this new thing called FMP? And I was like, kinda, because I come from telco, and we just, I understood DC power and all that, and he's like, and he's going through his electrical apprenticeship, and he brought it up, and I was like, there's your road, there's your freeway. How do you get to the long distance? So yeah, that's when the first time I heard about it.
And how long ago is that?
Oh, geez, it's got to be 5 years ago.
Okay. And Stephen, when's the first time?
Well, Denise, I'm hurt. Because you were the person who told me. I can't remember.
I wanted to make sure you remember.
Yeah. 3 years, 2 months, and 7 days. we were in Paris being hosted by Cisco in their new offices. Seeing the smart buildings, in my role, part of what we're trying to do is help clients from a sustainability perspective, how to simplify things like reporting so they can really focus on optimizing. And I think if you walk around today and if you walk around yesterday, you see that sense of purpose behind what NTT's investing in and innovating in. And when you explained FMP, I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is like, how do we start dealing with this challenge of AI is demanding more energy. It's great that people are saying we can get more density into racks, but we can't get the energy for the racks. We say, technology can transform things, but how do we do it in a responsible way and consume less energy? And it really lit a fire. And I think we've been partners for 35 years this year, which I think is a great milestone. And it was like, okay, this is the next iteration. This is how we're going to go after a new marketplace.
And I think from that initial conversation, there was so much that was complementary to a lot of the research NTT was doing that you need this new innovation, this sort of missing link of power distribution. If you think about energy, it hasn't been reinvented, it hasn't been touched as an industry for over 100 years. Think about that. Think about how much has changed in even the last handful of years with AI. Energy and our energy systems are things that have not been changed or challenged in over 100 years. So now we're looking at the grid and distribution and generation and how to balance the regulatory needs between data centers that are coming online and our buildings. So let's dig in for a second. Ben, I'm going to come to you. Walk us through, you and your brother are geeking out
Right.
5+ years ago about energy. You have a role at Workday. You have a long history in networking. Can you walk us through your journey on where you are at today with fault managed power?
So we're partnering with Cisco and Panduit. We've gone through a proof of concept, and we're testing out, starting small. You have to start small because you have to prove out, does it work? Can the partners work together? And what's the ROI on this? And so we tested this out in one of our conference rooms, just lit a conference room. And the funny part is our existing hardware actually quit working, but the proof of concept kept working. And it was fully powered by PoE, FMP, and USB-C. So we were able to have conference calls like normal. We were able to set calendar invites through the devices we were working with Cisco, and it was really exciting to just go, voila! This is the point where we can go. We've had the road, the driveway with USB-C, the road with PoE, and now we have the freeway that we can go the long distance with FMP.
Yeah, that's great. Tom, when I think about Panduit as an ecosystem partner with Cisco, traditionally it's been a little bit more on the engineering side.
Yep.
Panduit as a company, maybe people aren't as familiar about. Can you tell us a little bit about what's evolved with the fault managed power kind of incubation within Panduit, and where do you see the opportunity coming together in the market?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Denise. So, our background has been more of a layer one infrastructure provider, and over time, PoE and the growth of Ethernet has been a phenomenal growth engine for us. And as our customers wanted more power, they wanted longer distance, they wanted broader applications, we were really challenged to come up with a way to extend that reach, provide more available power. And so as we were innovating on solving those challenges, we really started to hone in on more active equipment, more active electronics, and things that had been outside of our core kind of passive layer one background. And so through investing in our R&D facility and acquiring some new talent, doing extensive voice of customers for what our customers were after, we were able to kind of put together these market requirements and come up with a new way to deliver power, and then continue to partner with Cisco on standards development and implementation, because with any new technology, safety and trust, particularly for power, are a really big concern. And that's why you need trusted global partners who can, solve ubiquitous customer problems all over the world. Through that partnership and innovation, I think we've really are starting to see momentum. We're shipping product, we're getting repeat orders for this technology because it does things efficiently and safely that couldn't be done before.
Yeah, that's huge. You say efficiently. Are there some rough orders of magnitude of numbers when we talk about more efficient power? I mean, we're so limited on power, energy costs keep going up. Give us either an example or some numbers to help back up.
Sure. First, I'll explain how we get those power savings, right? So if you would imagine, we use AC current for most of the transmission, and then millions of DC power bricks to power all of our devices at the endpoint. And each time you're doing those piecewise conversions, you're losing efficiency, you're giving up heat. That heat then has to be cooled and removed from the facility. And so by transmitting in DC, we're able to eliminate all those endpoint conversions, and that contributes a lot of efficiency gains successively throughout kind of the whole power chain. And then also it allows us to capitalize on DC power generation. Solar, wind, those are native DC products today. So why convert that to AC to transmit it, to then just convert it back to DC? And so if you look at the entire system, you can see savings 25% in efficiency. Plus it's quicker to deploy, and there's a lot of other labor savings that we pick up along the way. But maybe 10 years ago, we weren't so worried about power, right?
Yeah.
Like we just assumed you'd have kind of limitless power. In most developed markets, you just took it for granted. And boy, the past few years have told us that that's no longer the case.
That's right. So Stephen, I'm going to come over to you because we've been working on this journey from an angle of measurement and sustainability for a number of years. Yeah. Can you talk us through with some of this measurement? 35 years between Cisco and NTT partnership is not insignificant.
Nope.
And when I think about what's coming next and the opportunity this brings to that partnership, what do you see?
Oh, how long have you got? Well, and again, look, there's a couple of things I'll point to. One is the partnership that we've had over the years. I think now, as you see the reach of NTT from a research perspective, you see that underlying thread around whether it's ION, long distance transmission of data in a really, really power efficient way. Everything is looking at going, how do we prepare ourselves for this new evolution and make sure that we have the access to the stuff that we need to be able to do those things. But what this gives us that I don't think we'd considered before was actually when it hits the building, how do you make sure you lose as little as possible, you drive the efficiency? And I'm going to publicly state, Ben, you gave me the best, because I'm not technical as everyone knows, gave me the best analogy yesterday, which is it's like trying to talk to your neighbor and you write something in English, translate it into Spanish, hand it to them, but they don't speak Spanish, and then they translate it back into English, and you're losing all this efficiency because of that translation. So thank you, I'm going to use that one. But it's actually, how do you drive that efficiency? Because from a sustainability perspective, we believe sustainability isn't a regulatory and governance thing. It's actually an optimization. Mm-hmm. So when you look at organizations and you talk about sustainability and they push you sometimes towards the sustainability people, and yet the rest of the organization is trying to drive optimization. This is a way of driving that optimization. How do we consume less? Right? How do we make sure that we're more efficient and we've got access to the resources we need to be able to grow and thrive in a sustainable way? And I think this is going to be one of those critical components. Denise calls it the Lego brick. It's like what you can do. And I think for me, and one of the things that bonds all of us, we were talking yesterday, is we need to start, right? We need to start moving now, not waiting until the final evolutions, because there is no final evolution. It just keeps going and going. And I think what's really exciting for me is seeing those clients who are already jumping on board and driving this and saying, right, let's test it. And as soon as they test it, they're like, oh my God, I have so many applications for this. This is a Lego brick set that I can do so many different things with. So to me, that's one of the things that really excites me.
That is great. The theme of this conference is research to reality. And Ben, when I hear you talk, that's the reality. Right? Can you talk us through some of the use cases and what you see as what's next after this proof of concept?
So, thank you for bringing me aboard, but I really think we're going to go to phase 2. We're going to try this out. We're going to scale this. But I think the excitement for me is let's not rip out everything and start fresh, but let's think about the move, add, change. We have a facility that needs more desks. This is really a low lift to kind of run, FMP, a 1U FMP in your IDF or MDF. You can run the receiver pod to a secure cabinet above the ceiling, and then you just patch down PoE to a desk, and you can drop desks. I think that's the exciting thing is just being able to give the flexibility of a facility. And I think the other thing is every desk gives data. We're AI, the world is becoming more and more AI focused. I'm looking at real estate, like how do we understand our facilities and how we utilize it? And I think that's one step to truly understand our facility and be able to pivot on a dime.
How closely were you working with facilities prior to trying to tinker and play with FMP?
So I've only been with our real estate team a little less than a year. I've been with Workday for 12 years. I come from running our data centers, and I saw the inefficiencies, the power conversion, the heat. Like the saying is, if you lose a data center within 2 minutes, it's already 150 degrees inside. So, and I saw that, and coming from telco where we draw way less wattage, I think that's what drove this. And when I joined the team, I know that we had gone to Atlanta with you guys to look at what's possible with PoE and what Cisco was offering. And I had a great conversation with our Panduit rep, and he was like, voila, I have an idea. And it was very exciting. Then we started talking. But I think our facility team is really looking at this going, this is exciting. This is exciting. This gives us a chance we can drop an old building. We don't know what's in the guts of that building. We don't know what's in the walls. Let's go ahead and it's easy to fish down a Cat 6 or a Cat 6E or Cat 6A to kind of in the wall, and we instantly have power that we can supply the team. So I think we're getting excited. I think as we understand, as I can prove out that this is more cost effective, this is faster to deliver, I think that's going to be where the facility team will really get on board. And I think as we also show, like we talked about the AC to DC conversion, as we start looking at putting renewable energy on our facilities, I think, let's just plug it right off of our batteries. Then we don't have UPSs everywhere.
Yeah, that's a huge point. So we'll move to data center next, but I want to highlight a couple of things. When we think about that conversion, AC to DC, whether it's a building or a data center, there's something like 3 to 5 conversions that are happening, and you're losing power at every turn. The UPSs by themselves cost a tremendous amount of maintenance, both from a labor and a replacement of those UPS systems. The FMP system actually replaces the need for all of that because you're doing DC all the way. There's also these terms that are becoming more and more common, which are like distributed energy systems, on-site generation, right, solar. So Tom, I'll start with you. When we talk data center, because you can't go too far in this world without talking AI, and then eventually it goes back to that infrastructure on the data center side. It is very in vogue again. People are building brand new data centers all over, whether it's retrofitting existing ones, because that's where power is, or building completely net new. What do you see as some of the challenges or opportunities when we bring a system like this into that DC arena that you said, you cited has been there for a long time?
Yeah, so I think they're very aware of power efficiency, as you talked about. The availability of power is one of the critical factors they use to decide a location of a site. Speed is another one, and when we talk about the ability to deploy fault-managed power, because it's DC power delivery, it can be done by a low-voltage electrician, not a high-voltage electrician. You don't need conduit and pipe and to contain all that wire. And so you're able to deploy it much more quickly. And in that data center space, the speed of those build cycles is hyper compressed. It's hyper monitored. And the ability to get access to a different labor pool and to be able to deploy more quickly, I think is a fundamental asset for them, that they have really no other way to address that speed other than embracing new technologies. I think, as Stephen said, that the time is now. The time for us as leaders is to advocate for change. You know, as you said in your opening comment, AC power delivery has been around for over 100 years. It's been, you know, unchallenged, it's been assumed. And I think now is the time where leaders have to take a fresh look. They got to look at new technology, like Ben has done. And you have to be able to question your assumptions. And in order to get the gains that you need, as a leader, you have to challenge the organization to adopt these new technologies, trial them out, make sure they make sense. But in the use cases we've done, they've all been compelling, right?
Yeah.
And we're getting customer after customer to expand their scope.
I think there was a stat, Gartner said something like 40 or 45% of all the data center projects are getting stalled or canceled or postponed because of energy issues, right? And this touches on some of that. I know Panduit and Cisco work a lot on the standard side, and that's the regulatory side, which is part of where we help with scale. So fault managed power was put in the National Electrical Code in 2023. We're continuing on more and more of those standards to help us go at scale. Stephen, NTT has just a few data centers around the world. Talk to us about the size and scope when we talk scale of NTT and data centers.
Yeah, we're rated as, like, I think, the third biggest data center provider in the world. I think a lot of the things that you'll see with NTT is it's a very, one of the things I love about it is quite a humble company. So from a brand perspective, it's really underpinning a lot of what happens in the world, but it doesn't scream and brag about it, which is, I think, is a good thing, right? I think, but what we saw yesterday is how the investment in R&D is unchanged. It's like, actually, when other companies are stepping back, the responsibility as a large organization to drive innovation and to drive change that will have an impact. And you mentioned ROI. We talk about ROII, return on investment and impact. How do we do that? And we take that, very, very seriously, including in our data centers. So how do we start to drive that? And again, I go back to the, it's that system level thinking. It's going, well, actually, we're struggling to get data centers signed off in some locations. But if you look at things like what the possibility of IOWN allows you to do is move that data center to a location where energy may be more accessible, right? So you look and go, but when you're there, you've got to make sure you're as responsible as possible. And FMP gives us that opportunity. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that I've certainly learned through this conversation or this relationship is a lot of the time senior leaders within clients, safety doesn't actually come into mind because they're assuming that's covered. I think this shift to the high density, high power consumption, power requirements because of AI is starting to open up a real conversation around safety. And people going, well, actually, yes, we can do this, but actually, should we, and what are the implications?
I actually want to, if you don't mind, I want to stop on that for a moment because I don't know that everyone quite understands when we talk safety to the rack. There's a lot of buzz out there about getting 800 volt DC to the rack. Ben, can you talk to us a little bit about the implications? Like what is arc flash? What does 800 volt to the rack even mean in practical terms?
You're going to start a fire. You're going to start fire, or somebody's going to become a fire. I think that's a huge concern. I think that, if I'm looking at that before I learned about FMP, I would be like, oh, that's either going to create a lot of heat, that's going to melt something. So, as I've learned about FMP and all that, it was like, wow, why don't we build everything like this? Why don't we build apartments like this? Why don't we build, because now you're reducing the chance of a facility burning down. We're already plugging all of our technology, it's all native DC. So we're already plugging it either into a RJ45 jack or plugging it into a USB-C port, and I'm like, that just reduces the chance of starting a fire. So when you asked that, I was like, oh, yeah, when I don't want the dust to catch on fire in the ceiling, and I think this is a huge chance to rethink how we build our facilities. I think that it makes it much more safer to build and faster, and I love this. It auto recovers. You have a problem, you cut a wire, you short it out, you resplice that wire together. There's nobody going back into that device and having to turn it back on. It's checking, and then it recovers the supplying the electricity that's needed.
So I'm hearing safe, I'm hearing faster to build, easier to deploy. We're gonna finish with a lightning round of what about the partnership are you most excited about in let's call it like the next 12 months?
You starting with me?
I'm gonna start with you.
Oh, no time to think. No, look, I think we're seeing a huge shift. The marketplace is, and actually, I'm giving Ben lots of time today, right? But you talk about that conversation with Panduit, right? It's about partnerships, and I think what we're seeing is people are starting to realize there's two choices. We can keep doing what we've always done, or we can partner with people who are going to help and challenge what we do. And I think the relationship with Cisco has thrived over 35 years because of that relationship. It's like, actually, that's all great. How do we not rest on our laurels? How do we do more? And it's how do we drive that innovation? How do we bring that to our clients as opposed to waiting for our clients to come to us? So I think that's the excitement, but it's opened up new relationships. Tom and myself, it turns out, are long-lost brothers from different continents.
That's right.
But it's opened us up to seeing what Panduit can do, open up conversations with Workday. The amount of clients that this has opened up conversations that we never would have had, it really does drive a partnership based on meaningful engagement.
Perfect. How about you, Ben?
So one thing I love about Workday, it's all about the relationship, and I think us being together and helping to change the narrative and kind of push this this technology forward to better utilize our electricity, make our facilities safe, and also push each other. Yeah. I love that. I love where, I'll use this statement, and you guys will hear this, and it's kind of kumbaya, but it's like, I'm on this blue spinning orb with you guys. Let's all succeed together. Let's take that first step together and challenge each other, and not in the, and I say this a lot, my nerd is stronger than your nerd, but more of how do we collaborate together to make a better future for our family, our friends, and with AI being able to pump that into a data model that we can now manage our facilities.
Yeah, great. How about you, Tom?
Yeah, for me, it's really the fulfillment of the roadmap. We're going to launch some really exciting new product line expansion at Cisco Live to show more capability, and this technology can do a lot, right? So it can do more power, it can do longer distances, we can do some data, so seeing where this goes, and once you get into the field with innovative users like Workday and Ben, they're going to find new ways to use this and new applications, and then through our collaboration and joint partnership, expanding that, making it a reality. Watching it grow it's really going to be an exciting year.
Yeah.
That's so great. I think if there's one thing I would take away from this, hopefully, you've learned something new. I think this is the exciting part. We're at the very beginning stages of AI. We're just scratching the surface on inferencing. There's so much more to come. And the ability to power that safely, effectively, and efficiently, more efficiently than we can today, opens up a whole world of possibilities. We have brought you a live demo here on the show floor, so just right outside in the demo area, you can actually see and put your hands on this technology. And if Ben is any indication, just getting started with the partnership and support of big global brands like Cisco and TT and Panduit is a great place to start. So thanks so much for being with us today. Hope you've learned something.